Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. Welcome back to Jerusalem. I'm still here in God's one and only holy city for an entire week of production. It's been amazing so far. That's an understatement. I'm working on an 8-part documentary series, The Heroes of October 7th. Now we're going down south along the Gaza border. We're hearing incredible stories of heroism that you're going to want to see. The true heroes of that awful day, people who put everything aside, went down, ran into the fire, not away from it. So we'll be on the Gaza border, of course, but we're also fleshing things out in this 8-part series. We're talking about the war in the north, Hezbollah. We're talking about the 12-day war, Operation Rising Lion against the Iranian regime. So much happening. That's why it's so good to be here in Israel right now and to bring these stories to you, to the world. Hey, if you like what you're hearing, be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. We're coming to you with breaking news, current events, mainly from here in Israel and the Middle East, but we cover the entire world depending on the news cycle. We're coming to you most weekdays, sometimes even on the weekends. So if you like what you're hearing, again, be sure to subscribe. Yair Pinto of TBN Israel fame and Mati Shoshani as well. Join me here in Jerusalem. And what a great breakdown, folks. We went around the horn, around the entire region. No one does it better than Yair and Mati. Incredible, hard-hitting commentary and analysis with the real story of what's happening here in the land and how it matters to you no matter where you live. Now, they have an incredible YouTube channel. You probably know, if you watch me, you probably watch Yair and Mati. TBN Israel, subscribe to their channel as well. Now, before we get into that breakdown with them, and again, no one does it better. Incredible analysis from two guys who are in the IDF reserves. Yair in Gaza not too long ago, Mati and he both in Gaza, in Syria, in Lebanon. They're everywhere. So you're getting on the ground, firsthand perspective. Before we get into that, a quick mention for our sponsor, today's video, Wise Money Israel. Now, folks, this is an incredible organization. You know that Israel is a place where everything is happening. It's an economic, high-tech, medical, scientific powerhouse. It's like a mini Silicon Valley in the middle of the desert. It's a great place to invest. That's why I want to tell you about Wise Money Israel. This is a place where you can diversify your investments while still supporting Israel. Wise Money Israel manages Israeli stock and bond accounts for people from over 30 nations, and by investing here in Israel, through Wise Money Israel, you not only bless Israel and fulfill that biblical mandate, you also make a profit. Imagine that. As Israel battles to hold on to its land, it fights an existential struggle on 7 different fronts. You can support Israel by backing successful companies that power the Israeli economy and help sustain the Jewish people. Wise Money Israel's professionals wisely invest your funds in the local Israeli market. Hey, Israel's economy is one of the most resilient and innovative in the world. You can be a part of that. It's wisemoneyisrael.com/TBD, wisemoneyisrael.com/TBD. See the description below this video as well to sign up and get a free consultation from Wise Money Israel. Align your finances with your faith, diversify your investments, and partner with Israeli believers who share your values. Wise Money Israel, incredible organization, very proud to partner with them and very proud to partner with my dear friends Yair Pinto and Mati Shoshani. No one does it better. Here is our incredible discussion on what's happening here in Israel and why it affects you, no matter where you live. Watch. A very special treat, you know them very well, from our great TBN program, Boots on the Ground, seen on TBN every Thursday night. Yair Pinto, Mati Shoshani, co-host of Boots on the Ground. They also head up the great TBN Israel YouTube channel. Folks, over 1.5 million subscribers. Go and join up now, subscribe to their channel. Guys, great to be back with you in Jerusalem.
Welcome back to Israel, Eric.
Great to be back, my friend. Way too long. Last time we were together in Dallas just a few months ago, yes. But I'd rather be here in Jerusalem as always.
Definitely. Your second home.
My second home, no doubt. Hey, you've had a few interesting temporary homes recently. Gaza, Syria, Jenin. You've been everywhere, all
Lebanon.
the hotspots.
Lebanon before that.
We basically covered all the not friendly borders of Israel.
Yeah, you've been in all the hotspots.
Collecting stamps in our passport. Yes, we go.
Not a very good duty-free in these countries.
Yeah, no.
You get some AK-47s, maybe RPGs, that's usually what they sell there.
Hey, hence the name, Boots on the Ground.
Yeah.
You're really living out the name. You're living up to it. Hey, Mati, I want to start with you. You were both just in Gaza.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you saw on the ground, number one. And number two, this international narrative that Israel is intentionally starving Gazans, there's a genocide happening. What's the truth?
It's a complex situation. In the past, I would have said that everything's in the gray area. And now I've come to realize, and I think our viewers have come to realize, that there is a force of evil out there that's spreading lies, and there's a force that's telling the truth about what's happening there. The lie is Israel's starving the people of Gaza. The lie is Israel is preventing food from entering into the Gaza Strip. Yair has seen firsthand piles, and as far as the eye can see, pallets of food waiting to go into the Gaza Strip. What is the truth? The IDF has brought in, over the past, whatever it's been, almost 2 years of this war, has brought in enough calories to feed everyone in Gaza twice and still keep them healthy. Not once, feed them twice.
Yeah.
Feed them twice. And at that time, the UN, and it's become an active attempt to prevent people from getting food in recent months, the UN has actively prevented food from being distributed. Hamas has stolen the food. Hamas has sold the food back to the people. Hamas has torched warehouses with free aid in them to inflate the price of goods in the markets in Gaza. That's what's happening on the ground. And the international media intentionally, this is not a mistake, and it's not a misquote, and it's not an accident, intentionally, systematically are spreading lies about what's happening there with a false anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, let's call it anti-Semitic narrative underneath it that's falsely claiming that Israel is starving the people of Gaza. So much so that they have to hold on to these bizarre lies. Show a picture of a child that's dying of some other disease who's receiving medical treatment with the help of the Israeli government, claiming they're dying of starvation.
That was the New York Times.
That was the New York Times. And the list goes on and on and on and on, and it doesn't end there. Every arena of war that you look at in the Middle East, you'll find two things. Only Israel is helping, only Christian organizations are helping, and the world lies and turns a blind eye to what's happening there.
God, we live in upside down times.
Absolutely.
Hey, the prophet Isaiah talked about those who call good evil and evil good.
Yes.
Yair, Mati mentioned Hamas. People say, okay, Hamas, I understand. Hamas keeping the food and the aid from the people of Gaza.
Yeah.
Why would the UN block shipment of food and aid to the people of Gaza?
Well, it's very sad, and we've seen that the United Nations, since Israel was born, basically systematically issues resolutions against Israel. There's like hundreds of resolutions against the only democratic state in the Middle East, while only a few dozens against the entire world.
Yeah, more than any other nation.
Exactly.
Yeah. All tiny Israel, the size of the state of New Jersey, the lone democracy in the Middle East. But more resolutions against Israel than North Korea, China, and Iran.
Combined.
There's a reason.
Combined.
There's a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
The reason is if you talk only about Israel, you never have time to talk about what they're doing. That's the underlying reason.
And it's also, Mati, it's very important to understand that the member states of the United Nations, like the majority of them, are not democratic states. People think that the United Nations is this Western entity, but it's combined out of dictators, out of countries that do not have democratic elections, that do not have freedom to women to go and vote, that do not have any kind of free education, any kind of liberal or freedom of values in these countries. And they're making the decisions because they are the majority. And they have a clear agenda to blame Israel with everything that's going on. I think it's a spiritual war, Eric.
Yes.
It's not just a political issue. It's
no
a
other
spiritual
explanation.
war. Only explanation that works.
Yeah.
And of course, they tag into this false narrative of the starvation. Even Gaza, first narrative of free Palestine, from the river to the sea. Because when people hear that, that's what they focus on. So you don't need to deal with the problems in your own countries when you can rally your population against Israel.
Okay, speaking of which, Gaza, Operation Gideon's Chariots, Part 2, about to commence. Just want to get both your thoughts as two guys who've been in the IDF reserves since October 7th. Mati, your thoughts on this operation, its chances for success in terms of crushing Hamas and, God willing, getting the hostages out.
So there's two things that are happening at the same time. I think that's the difficult thing to understand. One is the military option. And the military option has to be fought out thoroughly till the very last day. And that means you can't win this war without the hostages. You can't get the hostages without completely defeating Hamas. Yeah. And then at the same time, that can't happen without, let's call it, a diplomatic channel. And the diplomatic is twofold. One is on the positive side, the agreement, and everyone's pushing to that. The Qataris, the Egyptians, the Americans, the Russians, the Turks, everyone is pushing in that direction. Let's bring some kind of agreement. And then the other side of that is the stick. Everyone is threatening. If there is no agreement, then we go back to option A, which is the military component. And the two, Israel has learned, sadly, have to live together. We can't wage war without being pushing full-time on the, let's call it the diplomatic side. And you can't be on the diplomatic side without having a huge stick above the heads of everyone else.
Exactly. Talking about the huge stick, Eric, the IDF just issued call-ups, Tzav Shmona, basically orders to the reserve units, like Mati, myself, and our co-workers here at TBN Israel, and more than 50,000 Israelis were called in preparations for the conquer of Gaza City, because it takes a lot of people, and also you need to relieve those that have been fighting for multiple months in Gaza and bring in new forces. It's a process, it takes time.
And we have the high holidays in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And in the high holidays, we have to always reinforce everyone in Judea and Samaria and the Jerusalem area, because that season is always prone to trouble. So that sort of pushes back the whole timeline on that. People are afraid that it's a bluff. It isn't a bluff. Israel is going through all the motions that are possible and needed to really do this right this time.
We're talking Syria. U.S. envoy Thomas Brock met with Israeli leadership to discuss de-escalation strategies in southern Syria and Lebanon. He also endorsed Lebanon's cabinet plan for Hezbollah disarmament. Imagine that. Contingent on Israel withdrawing from southern Lebanon. Guys, what do you think? Talk about a sea change in the region. A year ago at this time, I mean, Hezbollah still was the most lethal terrorist force in the world. And Israel since then has laid the smackdown, as they say, Yair.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the state of Hezbollah right now, and can Hezbollah actually be disarmed? Is that possible?
So I don't think that they will give up their weapons without a fight, because basically they are the strongest proxy of Iran. And they still have funding, they still have backing, and they still have many Shiites behind them. And they will not give up without a fight. That's for sure. They made it clear to the government of Lebanon that if the government of Lebanon wants to take their guns away, they will send bullets their way. That's what they promised to give them. Yeah. Okay, so this is the situation.
And Lebanon has seen so much civil war over the years. Could it descend into that again? I guess that's a big question.
Yeah, I think so, because they don't want to give up. There's no chance that they give up without a struggle. That's how it operates in the Middle East. Yeah. We see that in the Gaza Strip. We see that in Syria. We see that with the Houthis in Yemen. That's the only way. Whoever projects strength will win. And that's the game here that Israel is dealing with. So Israel should learn and never withdraw and put our citizens in danger and never trust anybody else to defend ourselves and our borders. And
Iran will not let Hezbollah disarm. They're masters in Tehran. Mati, you both were just in Syria.
Yeah.
What a trip. You were in Quneitra, about 7 miles, I believe, over the border from Israel.
A little less, but
a little less.
It's far enough to really experience the country as it is.
For sure. And there's been so much going down in that particular region, that Quneitra region, over the years.
Yeah.
We've seen ISIS and Al-Qaeda linked terrorists there. We saw the Iranian proxies there. What's the situation like there now? And what does it say about, in a broader sense, about Syria and the new jihadi leadership there?
So Syria is a big problem, and it represents the issues that are happening in the Middle East right now. And I'll explain that thought. So for the Syrian people, since what we call the Arab Spring, and they call, let's call the dictator Assad killing his own people, so going on 15 years for them, they've seen one wave of violence after the other. First it was Assad killing his own people, then infighting between the militias, when it was destabilizing the Russians taking over pieces of the country. And now in the past year or so, since HTS took over the country, now it's the Sunnis killing the other minorities. The numbers are staggering. We're talking about close to 150,000 people. We're talking not non-combatants that have been murdered. No one's talking about it.
By the new government.
By the new government. What people mistakenly think is the reformed El-Julani or Ashara. Yeah. He's not reformed. He's
Al-Qaeda.
He's a terrorist through and through. And he's shown very clearly that that's what he does. More so, he's unable to fully control his country. And here's another big issue. There's two things happening here. That country and multiple others in this region have been destabilized. So now they're prone to internal violence and they're susceptible to external violence by other parties. That's one side. Second side is now that they're destabilized, other evil players such as Iran can come all the way to the border with Israel. And as Yair was saying, now it's a really tricky situation for us. Think Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, in Judea and Samaria, everyone who 10 years ago you would say, here's this mega power, be it a dictator or Hamas or PLO, whoever it is, there is no one party to talk to right now. Now it's factions. Now there's infighting. Now there are routes between them where the Iranians or whoever it is, let's call it one sect of global jihad, can make it all the way to the Israeli border and start jeopardizing our own safety. So we have to play a really long game that can't be played alone. The U.S. has to be part of that, and I think maybe that's another conversation altogether.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Mati, great breakdown as always. And Turkey as well in Syria, major influence, perhaps filling a vacuum with the demise of the Iranian Empire to a degree. Hey, let's take a quick look at Mati and Yair on the ground in Syria. Watch.
So we just arrived inside Syria, and we are on the Quneitra side of the Israel-Syrian border. We arrived in a hospital that is operated by the Friendships Organization. Come.
As we're walking around here, some of the kids very much wanted us to see them jumping on the trampoline. That really shows you the humanity of what's going on here. It's not just about numbers, not just about packages of aid, but about being able to impact and bless some of these young, these kids that have grown up in a war zone. Many of them were born well after the war here started, and I just got to spend some time with these kids who really wanted to show me, one, their performance on the trampoline, and you really get to see how they get a break from the violent, the difficult, the unpleasant life that they've been experiencing here.
Guys, what an experience to be on the ground in Syria. This was inconceivable not too long ago. Yair, about a minute left before the break, then you'll be right back. What were your thoughts being on the ground, as an Israeli, being on the ground in Syria?
You know what I liked about it? That this country has seen so much suffering, and under the IDF rule, there were hospitals that were being built. The soldiers were together with the kids of Syria that were coming to receive medical treatment in a hospital with volunteers from around the world, but all protected by the IDF.
Christian volunteers.
Christian volunteers, yes, but all protected by the IDF. We see it again and again. The only place that takes care of the people that need the help most of all is the IDF. That's the only force that is taking care of those in need. In our enemy states, Syria has been our enemy. We studied it in the IDF from day one, that Syria is our arch enemy. And we donate clothes to those in need in southern Syria in the areas that the IDF is controlling now.
We're talking about international bodies, the UN, most notorious of all, but also the ICC, the International Criminal Court, very not only anti-Israel but anti-American. Well, Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently announced that he would be sanctioning at least 4 officials from the ICC. He said, quote, "The ICC has abused its power, politicized justice, and tried to prosecute U.S. and Israeli nationals without consent. The U.S. will never allow foreign bureaucrats to override our sovereignty." Amen. Mati, I love it. How significant is this? Does this send a message? And I think this is probably part of the Trump effect, we can call it. Does this send a message to the tyrants and to the anti-Israel, anti-American forces around the world?
Yes, I think it does. But I'd say there's a really big play here, which is the U.S. government calling the bluff on many of these aid organizations. And the U.S. has been the big benefactor of the UN and other agencies for decades at this point.
Billions.
And Trump, in both his terms, both his previous one and this one, appointed incredibly strong and well-articulated individuals as ambassadors to the UN who called out the UN on their bluff. Secondly, asked them for a report on what they're actually doing with their money. And October 7th has shown us very, very clearly what they've been doing with their money. And it sounds to some people, oh, these extreme statements. Let's defund the UN, let's do this and that. wait a minute, this organization is funding terrorists. This organization is actively involved in trying to starve the people of Gaza.
UNRWA.
Yeah, but not just them. They're preventing aid from being distributed because it looks good on Israel.
It's sinister.
They ignore everything that happens in the world if it doesn't serve them having more money, more power, and more respect. If it doesn't fall through those lines, they don't care about what's happening. And I'll give you examples. They don't care about what's happening in South Sudan. They don't care about a dozen ethnic cleansing attempts or successes in the last couple of years. They just don't even hit the radar for those organizations. And they're hypocrites that need to be called out on their lies. And the U.S. has done an amazing job of doing that, of just being straight shooters and saying, guys, if you want to sit in that seat and be the one to rule what is just and right and wrong in this world, then you better start behaving as that mission calls.
Yeah. Speaking of the UN, and Mati, great breakdown. Speaking of the UN General Assembly, Yair, is coming up next month in September. At that General Assembly, Canada, a rogues gallery, Canada, France, the UK, perhaps Australia, they're all vowing to formally recognize a Palestinian state. Doesn't matter what Israel thinks, apparently. Why is that so destructive, and how does that embolden Hamas?
Well, let me tell you this. If I was a Hamas terrorist, which I'm not, thank God, but if I was a terrorist and I would hear that France, Canada, the UK, other countries, Germany, are about to recognize a Palestinian state because I launched a massacre and a terrorist attack against the Jewish state of Israel, then I would say, good. That was a good call. I should do it. I should not surrender. I should not return the hostages because I'm getting a prize for my atrocities. The world likes what I did to the Jewish people. And I should continue doing that. Yeah. There's no reason for me to stop because I'm getting prizes for my actions. And this will just jumpstart more terrorism around the world because other terrorist organizations, the Muslim Brotherhoods, and very bad actors, including ISIS and Al-Qaeda and other terrorists, are wanting to do the same. You see in Afghanistan that the Taliban are now wanting a recognition as the leadership of Afghanistan, the official leadership, a terrorist organization. So this is what's happening when you do not stand up for the truth. And you try to blame the only democratic state of Israel in the Middle East.
A complete lack of moral clarity. And Mati, about a minute left before the break, but it seems to me that the West should be standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel for the mere fact that we're fighting a shared foe, a shared jihadist foe of both the Shia and Sunni variety.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Many of these countries have lost their moral compass. They're unable to distinguish between right and wrong, so much so that they look evil in the eye and they say, I like that, I'm going to follow that. And they look at pure good and they say, I despise that. And I'll have to tell you something, that's biblical. Their hearts have been corrupted by their evil. Their hearts have been corrupted by the fact that they rebelled against God, against the biblical narrative, and against God's promises. And now they're reaping the fruit of exactly that. You see that in their countries. You see that in their politics. You'll see it in their demographics. They will pay the price for how they turned away from the truth and against people who are truly suffering. Because when they focus on Israel as an evil that doesn't really exist, they're choosing to divert all their efforts away from the people who are truly suffering.
Guys, let's end on an optimistic note. Mati, number one, a lot of craziness in the region, but some great things happening. Some say this is Israel's greatest generation, these young men and women in the IDF right now.
Yeah, I think if anything that we can look at is the fact that we've all been forced to look straight in the eye of reality and history. We've been reminded that we're here in this land because of God's promise, that He's been faithful through and through, every single day, every time, even when we don't understand it. And that this promise comes with a price. So it comes with a resolution as a people to understand we need to be ready to continue and sacrifice and pay the price for the incredible, miraculous, amazing thing that is happening in this land, and pray for the nations around us. I think that's an important takeaway, which is to pray for the stability and the salvation of every Muslim nation around us, because God knows they need it.
Amen. And Yair, God is working literal miracles in this land right now. Talk a bit about, as we close out, how God's moving in Israel.
Listen, if you had any doubt in your mind that God is alive, I think you should just turn the TV, look at Israel. We were attacked by 7 different nations at the same time, and we are still here. Not just here, we're changing the Middle East. Hezbollah, the world's largest, more strongest terrorist organization, is gone. The Yemen's, the Houthis in Yemen are also crushed. The Iranians are no longer having a nuclear facilities. The Syria doesn't exist. God is changing the Middle East, and he's showing the world that he's performing biblical level miracles today, and he still using Israel like he did in biblical times. Okay, this is just amazing. So use this and pray for the situation and be encouraged in your life about anything that you're going through.
Yeah, amen. And as you like to say, pray for the peace of this city, Jerusalem. Yair, well said as always. Mati, great job, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. Every Thursday night, catch them right here on TBN, Boots on the Ground, a great show. We will be back here tomorrow night with Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Until then, from Jerusalem, God bless you. We'll see you soon.